into our internet thing, what he called Place or Spot or whatever, and he said he listens regularly to the shirim. And he said, you have no idea what a big thing it is. And he thanks me. And he says, what a tremendous difference it's made to him.
Tell him he should speak to his friends about it also.
Write
him back that he should speak to his friends also.
Yeah. All right. So we were dealing with the difference between Avodas HaKorbanos and Inyan HaTeiros. And we saw that the
which page are we doing? Which page and what's the date?
Oh yeah, so it's Hemshchaim Beis, Diba Mascho V'yem HaShmini Atzeres Tielchem Tov Reshaim Daled Omud Tov Lamed Aleph, and the date today is Kof Vov Adar Aleph. We were dealing with the Hevdel between Korbanos leTeiros. Korbanos is Nikroim Lechem. If you look at Teiros, so that's the Inyan Reach. Klolis in Korbanos is the Inyan van Achila, the Inyan van Michael, Achilus HaMizbeach as it's called. And we saw there was the Inyan in Korbanos what they were Mamshich. Lachmi Ishoy, so that's the Sofim. The Malachim, the Sofim, and that is mamshik to them in a high madrig in Eila Mabrio, the Rosa de Korbana, Eila Rosa de Ayin Seif, as we see a bit later here in the Perik, and that's mamshik Lafi Shorsham Agili in Eila Mabrio, but that gives them the Chuka and the Koyach to go out in their Aveda, which is Sreifa, called Metziusam. But they go out in a chuk of aliyah into Ayin Seif Mamish. And that's the Inyan from Simoin, B'Yosef V'chulu. And then we went on to see that Klolis Inyan HaKorbanos was Inyan Chalechem. And I was so in Nefesh that in order that the Nefesh should be Mischaber with the Inyan of Chumriyas Aguf, Mamish Ishabres, then Nefesh HaRuchni with the Guf HaGashmi V'Chumri, then there needed to be a Mamutza, which would be Mamshich and Poil that Ishabres. So we went into some detail about the Inyan of the Koiches HaNefesh, and the Inyan HaNefesh in Yoni, which is Islavshus Pnimi B'Hagu. And we saw that shot to the Inyan Shalom. You understand English?
More or less. More or less.
So.
He was in Australia. He was in Australia for...
It's, we have to give him something to look into, otherwise it's not going to help. So we saw that the Be'ikah that was Nager to the Inyan of the Koiches HaNefesh, what Bobby Slapshus Pnimius Davkir. In other words, we're talking about the Ha'oras HaNefesh, which is Nimshach to be Machayah de Guf, Davkir Derech HaKoiches HaPnimiyim. And then we saw there was also the Ha'ora Klolius, what we described that as the Chayas Klolius of the Nefesh, which also is Bobby Slapshus, albeit it's Lamayla Me'inyan HaKoiches, but it's also Bobby Slapshus. And in order that it should be that Ishchabras, we saw that was through the Inyan of Achila Davke. And we saw that through the Inyan of Achila, that's Mischazik, Koiche Klolius from the Adar, or that's Mareh of the Yamshocha of the Ha'oras HaNefesh B'tei Koiches HaGuf, and that's Nageya feeling in Yon from Kedusha. We saw that Rab Nachman said Adaloy Achilna Bisur the Torah with the whole Arichas they put down and even mentioned briefly in Tanya. And we saw that through the Inyan of Achila is Mischazik of that Chayis, and even though it's a Chayis Chodosh, we saw that it's only a Chayis Chodosh Lefi Erech. אבל אמיתיס המושג, החייס חודש, is not nimshach al-idei achila. And therefore we saw that if there was a kuchel Beis Eiva, or a Ayin from his salvus, which is the stalkus of Chayes Beklau, then the tikkun lazeh is not to give him to eat. The Ayin from Achila, Ayin mo'il lazeh. And so from that we saw that we have to come on to something higher, which we'll see when we get to the Ayin Areya. But Achila itself is not maspekis to be megala achayes chodesh mamish. But from that we see that Ayin Achila is only mashika ha'ora from the nefesh, which is shot to the chayes derech hislabshus, afila in the chayes haklolias. Or we're talking even from ha'ora b'derech hislabshus davke. And therefore, if there's a Ayin from Kilchel or a Ayin from Istalkes, what Kilchel is a Ayin from Istalkes Lafierach, not Istalkes Gemura, then it's not enough, and it's not Mo'il, the Inyan Achila being as it is, only Mamshik from a Ha'ora, which is Belavoch Ishak to the Etzem Mislabshet. Abamil is what you might call Ein Chorish Mati L'Satzmi Beis Asuri. There has to be an aliyah into a madrega atzmiyas yoser in order to be megala achayes chodesh, and that's not achieved through the Inyan achila. And so then we saw it in the dugma lamaila. We saw that in order for that to be similar to what we saw in the moshel, these galas of the nefesh aruchni in the guf agashmi v'achumri, it was through the medium, to what we might call the mamutza, the Inyan lechem v'meichel Gashmi, in order there should be the Gila there and say what he's loved me called in and midus ihu klau. That should be miskala in the Kalim, what the Kalim therein is in of Machias, Davke Machias Chachma, Oy Chesed, okay, to be there. And Mavur and Torah and Pasha Boy, then we have to have the same opinion of Amshocha from the Pshitas of the Atzmiyas into the Machias, Miyuchedes and Mugderes and the Inyan Akeli. So we saw that was Davke through the Avedas HaKarbonis Lamata. So that's what we call the Inyan of Mamutza. The Karbonis, their Inyan was to be Oila Lamaila, Ad Rosa to Karbona, which we saw there is Oila Ad Rosa, the Ain Seif, Mamish in the Ain Seif, even Lamaila, then he is a Shaykhas, to be even a Mokir to the Amshocha in the Spheres. Alzehu Inin, a Karbonis, Korbani Lachmi Lishoim, and Korbana Rosa, the Korbana Elad Rosa, the Ain Seif, Mamshi Mukhin to Loy Adam Hu. But that's a madrega vein safe how he's higher than all in from the spheres, loy adam hu, she yitzamtzem b'pchinas mare adam. What the diuk is, that mare adam. It's well known, the famous diuk in Chassidus, not the in from adam, kipshute, no mare adam, but that's indicative of a ha'ora bilvat. That's not the immediate singing of vein safe. And therefore it's called the in from mare, but however mare, not even from adam. The Elo, the Ain Seif, how is Lamaila Mea Spheres, what that means, the Metis in of an Ain Seif, even Lamaila Mea Keser, that's called Kiloy Adam Hu, Mamish. And so the Shaila is, how do we bring the Giloy of Kiloy Adam Hu into the Inyan HaAdam, that there should be that Ha'ora, should be Nimshach, to be Mislabish in the Kelim, and Meya in the Spheres, well, that's through the Mamutza of the Korbanos. And that's why they're called Lechem, just like the Lechem Lamata caused a similar Ischabres, so the Inyan of the Lechem Lamaila, Ushim Mashik Meprinus Eirin Seif, Ashayach Elo Elamat. That's right at the bottom of the Omer, that's where we're holding. Vime Yeshazel Amshoch Meprinus Kiloy Adam, Kol Mochem, Einu Nimshel Bazek Gilim Meprinus Kiloy Adam Hu Mamish. It's not Mamish the Madrega at the Ain Seif Lamaila Mikol Inun Midasi Uklau Rak Ha'ora Levad. It's a Ha'ora Mimeno, and in that Gufa we saw that the Ha'ora is also an Indian from Shitas. No, it's a Zah Ha'ora, Di Ha'ora, which is shy to be Nimshach, and Mislavish in the spheres, or Mitztan Chaim Bikinas Chiur Odom. And we saw that becomes the Indian from Mare Odom, and Odom is indicatory of the Indian from Moichen Amidas, with all the Prote Indian Haspheres. So here we see a very interesting music, and we think carefully about it, that it's mashma, even though in the Moshel he doesn't actually mention the Indian of Mamutza. He doesn't say in the description of the Moshel, he doesn't mention the word Mamutza, even though it's the Mashmoris is say, but when he talks about the Indian Lamaila, he uses the word Mamutza. He said that in order there should be the Indian for the Shlabshef, this Achtas, Bekelim, Chorik Liyes Alidei Mamutza. So here we find an interesting musik in the Indian Mamutza. What we find in, so there's different descriptions of the Indian Mamutza. For example, we find the famous Moshel at a Mamutza Hamuva in Samafov, in Pasha Vayishlach, where the Rebbe talks over there about the Indian of the Maturgeman, Bisman HaChachomim, that he used to be the Chacham who made the drosha, the Deirish, what the simple people weren't able to understand clearly what he was going to say to them. So they were Ma'amid HaMaturgeman, like it's brought down in the Gemara. Ukialov Maturgeman. And he was able to, on the one hand, he was able to have a musik in the Seichel HaRav, and at the same time he had a certain shyness to the Seichel HaAm, and therefore he was able to hear the Lashenis that they were from the Rav, and be mamshit them in a way that they'd be moving to the, which means that he had to have a shaykhs to the Elyon, but once again he wasn't mamish the Elyon, because if he was mamish the Elyon, then he wouldn't be able to get to the Am either. In other words, he was a target that was mischaber and shaykh to the Elyon, but not mamish the Elyon. Either if he was mamish the madrega of the Am, then he would also not be able to understand what the Rav was saying either. Whenever he was l'mayla miya Am, after Pikain he was able to be yored and be masbid the inonim to them in a way that would be makul to them. So we see that on the one hand he had a certain kesher with Am, and that's the famous dogma, the Maturgeman. That's called a Mamutza Hamafsik, the truth of the matter is. It's a Mamutza, it's called a Mamutza Hamafsik. And he's Mavayo there, the famous music of Mamutza Hamachaber. But that's a very high Indian. Well, that's the whole pool of the Mamutza there is only to bring the Tafta into Isachtas Gemura with the alien. And that's a Mamutza from Moshe Rabbeinu. And that's a Mamutza of a Rebbe, of a Churim, and the ganze Arichas Kiyador, let's say. Over here, we find a different music in the Indian Mamutza. We see that for this Mamutza here to be poyo, the Slavshas of two inyonim which have no shadows one to the other, it's not that we're trying to be just mamshich ha'ora, which would be mislavish, like the Indian of the Maturga or the Rav mit the Am, although yesh b'sedimyenis mesuyomes. Over here we say that the Mamutza is b'shor shei higher than the two Tzadim. We say in order for it to be mamshich or that ha'ora filo from the loy adam hu of the Ayin Seif, then it has to be rosa de kurbana ila ad rosa de Ayin Seif. It's one on the beer bazaar. A rosa is indicative of a secret, a sword in Ayin Seif gufa. But that means tachas ilui in the inif and Ayin Seif. And halidei say he's able to be mamshich ha'ora mizeh, which will eventually be able to be mislavish in the kelim. So we see in the same with the Michael. It's mavur in L'chutiter Barichas. How is it the Michael is able in Purim at the beginning of Pasha Matis and other places in L'chutiter. The Alter Rebbe must be the Tafki because the Michael Shorshe Me'ilam Atoyu Shorshe in the Oedus HaGevoyim the O'ilam Atoyu. Therefore, it's got the ability to be machaya the Adam Lamaila from his Maima in the Mamoris we state Nasa Odom, that's the Maimah Assyria, the Maimah Choponim, which tried to the Odom, in order for it to be Machaya, the Odom, it's said to be Mamshit from the Madrig of Toyo Davki. And we see that what more Lamata in the Union from Someach, the more it seems to have a shaykhs with the Union Toyo. It's mashma over there. And Davki Alidei said that it comes from a Madrig which is Lamaila mi ha'odom. Lamaila mi guf Odom bevadai. Lamaila mi nefesh ha'odom. The Chayes Elokis in the nefesh ha'odom. It ever tell to be mechaber shneihem. But that seems to be as Tzarek it needs a picture, what is the final Hagdorah in Tzidus and the Inyan HaMamutza? What is the ultimate Esbab there? Yishlema says to become Gedorim in Mamutza. And that Mamutza in the Moshe or the Maturgim in Samifo, Yishlema that's a Mamutza which in Yonah is only to be poil a certain Inyan of a Slapshus and Isachtas between the two Inyanim. Here we're talking about the Etzem Ischabras of the Nefesh with the Guf. And that becomes as Ischabras, She'ef Shalahafrid Beineim Klahu, once the Nefesh of Mishlabish in the Guf, then it's Ef Shah Lahavdil Beineim. You can't say that the wherever you got the Odom, then he's both Nefesh and Guf. Besachtes Gemura. Hier tun the ganze Bier bezeh. Ve'ilo the Mamutze von der Maturgeman is it's only in order to be Megala a certain Seichel and a certain Inyan in Sokosof in the Koiches which are already there, Bechol Ben Odom. This is the Eitzel B'nei Odom Eilu Inyanim Eilu Mitzumtzomim or Mugubolim Ve'ilo Eitzel Arab it's in a Leifen von Ein Arech L'mayla Miher. In order to be Megala a Seichel from dem Seichel into the Seichel Hamagushim Vaposhet from the Am, you have to have in the middle a Iskashras Al Yidei Ayin Shomamut Al Yidei Odom that is Kilo Koilo Shneihem. Over here in this way where you're going to be Poyo and Mamshich Aishchabras and Aishachtas Gemura from the two Madregas, from the Madrega Aki El Yoino, or Chaponim Amushetes Lagamri from the Taktaina, and you're going to make them Mischaber or Misachid until they become Aishachtas Gemura, well then you have to have a Mamutza with East Behemoth oil into a Zamadrega, which is Lamaila Mishneihem, and then he's poiled in. I say, it's Mashma Mikola Makima. I said, the Lechem, sure she is Gavoya, yes, a Mishnei at Stadim. And the same thing with the Inin Lamaila, in order to be poiled, the Ha'ora from Ki Loyodom. Not Loyodom Hu, like you said, not Loyodom Hu Mamisho, but the Ha'ora into the Inin Akelim, then you had to be oily into Rosa the Ein Tzei. And it's the same with the Strophim. In order to Sokos at the Indian Strophim, they should have the Chukka, they should be able to be oil into Al Chaponim a certain Hasoge in the Indian for Natzilas, then they have to be Makabo from as Indian, which is Sokos at the Indian from Toyu, a certain Toykiv, and Yesh Loima, that's the Brennan, that's sort of the Bilti Agabola in their Aveda. That this another geder, it's not just an infanam shoch of a gilui of a certain koyach mi ein arech el hashofel, no this is chabers from the two inyanim mamish. Ve'ir the infanam amamutz amachaber, this is go an andrin. That elevates the tachtin, that he becomes oish tachtin, lagafi no longer tachtin, and he becomes with the alien kamoishahu. Not that we bring the alien up there. And that's in from Mamutza Amachaber.
Is the mocker of the group from Toad?
Huh? Yeah, that's a besonder Indian. We're not talking about ultimately the mile of the goof is actually noch mehr wie Toyo. The etzem mile is a goof atzmai. Or that's from Seifu Kalam in the mile of it. Who levade bekeuren wie Gelte. That's he himself. das ist Mamish Atma sein. That's a Bezundian, that's a Chais of the Guf Mitzadatme. You were talking about the Guf is Mekabel from the Nishom.
Is there any connection with, listen, Lefi Chabad, the Mamutza Das is Lamatami bin of a Chochma. Schenken the Fiera Mak is
Lamata. Das is Lamata, but this is a Lonachon. The Indian von the Shurish Das is really Lamaylam. Das is the Indian von Akor. Akor is Lamaylam in Abina, and it's got certain milas, even like Gabi Chochma. In some of all, the Rebbe says that Pnimis V'atzmis Chochma is Lamaylam mi Akor Sadas. If we talk about the Indian von Gilui Koech Chochma, then there's a mile in Hakora even over Chochma. Because that what we say, the Chochma's got a mile. I feel like Gabitas is a rear to Chochma. That's a Pnimis V'atzmis Chochma. She'eloi Kol Echad Zeichel. So therefore, it's the same basic principle. That as is Eilam does, Amatrega, therefore it's able to be Machaber and Mamshich, Moichen into the middles, that they Mamsh become Nimshich. B'tei Hamidas. Not just where Megala Seichel into the Makabo. Is Kein Yesh Lema B'derech Hefshet. Kesok also. The Indian of the Mamutza Hadas, I mean, even though a lot of Inyanim in Das, which it's L'mayla min Mamutza, of the Inyan there, is in order that the Midas and the Seichel should become one Isachtas. And ultimately speaking, we want that all the midas should be seichel dike midas, that they should be oile and niklal in the moichina. That's kemovoin kunzes aveda and kunzes hatfila. That's the ultimate slamus of the aveda samoichin, is that they male the midas and the midas are oile will need back into the inyan. But that means they become a mamish one. Ze nifal in the chanamali de adas. But that would be another dogma of the Indian. Yes, Ayin because it's very male. It's a yes for kama protim. But I noticed particularly the word mamutza here, and then I looked in Lakota Torah. I was Mayan in Lakota Torah now, and I went to the places, and there the Alter Rebbe writes clearly a mamutza, that the Indian alechem is a mamutza. So צריך להבין איזה גדר יש בממוצע זה, was is ein פעולה. יש להם כמה עניונים in the הממוצע. That's מה שיש להם באלוהי סעתו. And אולי אפילו העניין von the Maturgeman, even though it's much more that he's not really be'eret the Rav, אולי עצם that's the sign that Yeshua is a miser, even though that's not Mavur dot in some of our says. Nis does it the word. If I mean, Kitzat Koshelem. Now, Yeshua Chalik being in a Pu'ula Shenifa Alidei the moment. For what is ultimately the uftu of that particular moment. So we saw Ki'im Racha Ora. Levad or mitzamtzim b'chinas tzio adam. Omnom. So now we go on to the Inyan Hareach. Omnom Inyan Hareach hu shemeishi ves hanefesh v'hainu shemamshich hanefesh mi'etzem hanefesh shelamayla mipchinas shaychus el haguf ki im mi'etzem chibur haneshama im haguf. That the Inyan Hareach Inyoni is what he's mamshich from the etzem, which is l'mayla mishaychus elago. Because we saw that the Inyoni is what he's mamshich ha'ora, what is davke mislabish in the klei aguf, davke mislabshes. Ilu the sug chayes or the sug yachas adanefesh with the Inyan aguf. הנמשך על ידי ריח is דווקא בעצם חיבור הנשום מהגוף שהוא למעלה עדיין מבחינת הספשטות וגילוי. ועל כן גם בהסתלק over חייס הנפש כמו בסלפוס וכהי גבנה מועיל הריח לחושיב אור הנפש. Somebody is in a state of isalfus, then it doesn't help, as we saw before, achila, inonim ke'ela. Now, dafke the Indian harayach, if you give him smelling salt, they got a sharp smell, well, that can bring back these galus of the chayas hanefesh in the guf. Mipnei shemamshichoi mishorshoi umekoyeroi ha'atzmi. And the reason is that the Indian harayach reaches into the etem shorosh u'mokeh ha'atzmi of the, what you might call the chayas hanefesh in the guf. And therefore he called it in the previous sentence, etzem chibur neshama imagu. So we need to understand what's the gidder, what's the Indian it does. Because we're not talking about the Indian from Naran, or even the high Madrigas in Naran. I don't think he even means here the Indian from Chai Be'eter, because that's also Shat Naran. No, he means something higher. And maybe the pshat is, we see it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch. It's brought down in the bracha from Mafli, wie sagt man? Reife kol bosa o Mafli la says. When you go, excuse me, to the toilet, then that's a bracha. You say Reife kol bosa o Mafli la says. It don't state in the Taz and in the Mogan Avram. Was it in from Mafli la says? What are we moisim? Reifa kol basa, because the day the Indian from Yitzias Apaselas me'agufa that spoiled the refuah and the hemshech hachayim habriyim from the guf. Because if the how do you call it, mitzay hapaselas would be nishar in the guf, then it would be heipach habriyos, heipach inyan habriyos. So reifa kol basa. Was it the Indian where moisim? Mafli la says. So Bezot in the Mogan Avram, if I'm not mistaken, in the state also a similar lashon in the Taz. They say that the etzem chibur aruchnius imagashmiyas, or this is in the koyach hamafli la says. The Alter bring this in Shulchan Aruch, in Simon Daled, or I feel in the how does it called, the Madura Basra. The Alter bring this. But there's a Indian in the etzem ischaber, the neshama, but that's mi mafli la says. And there must be that since the Indian nefesh is betachlis hofchius, or betachlis arichok, a ki otzum, from the very essence of the guf, then it's only who levade, this is saying koyach mafli la says, he can be machaber the guf mit the neshama. Yesh leima sheyesh dargis b'seh. Whatever we spoke about with the eating from lechem, adosher li achri was already been akilui other nefesh in the guf. Then in that guf there's a chayes klolius and a chayes protius. There's already a whole seder masuda from ha'oras of the etzem ischabel. And in one is makif and one is pnimi, and in them the lechem is poila achizuk and amshach. Over the etzem minyan that a nefesh, a neshama, the etzem minyono could be mischaber with a guf, or this is a inyan, the etzem mischaber. We're not talking about amshachas achayas b'toich hakeilu. The etzem minyan that a nefesh would be. That's what he used the expression. Yeah, etzem chibur a neshama. Wie kommt es a neshama on befrat? As you do the famous beer the neshama. Mitzad etzem minyan, she'd like to take off. She'd like to go back to her shorah. Mitzad etzem, like all oiras and im shochim, yeah, l'shor shom. Amamera, the etzem chibur, that a tachlis aruchnius, sokol sof, that is a yinevin chelek that should be mischaber mit a guf chumri v'kashmi, or this is rak mafli laza. He steht dort der Mogan Avram. The Tazot Teichevs Mashu Me'inze, and the Alter bringt this in Shulchan Aruch. Or this is the koyach ha-mafli laseis. This is the etzem koyach ha-atzmi mamish, that he can be machaber the ruchnis with the the Gashmias. Or the Etzeminian, when I say Gashmias, I mean Harochik Betachlis for the Erech Haruchim of the Neshama. And the fact there's a special koyach, but that's goyrem the Etzem Chibur, the Etzem Yerida of the Neshama B'tei Haguf. Le'achri, but das ist Nifal, as Yesh Chayes Klolies, Yesh Chayes Protis, a ganze Reben, wie sie das Wert Nimsham. Ayin noch ein Name. Das ist mit der Neshama, the koyach for the Neshama. Aber that's Le'achri, what she's been given the ability to express her koyach. Aber die Etzem Mishchabres, or that's through a Indian Atzmi. That it means Indian of Elikus Kufa, a koyach which is shy to beyond even the loyal Adam that we saw earlier. You're going to get to the other. No, that's the, like we said, Hulavad is correct to the whole concept of Hulavad Bekoich B'Yachol. That's the mamish. He himself. Those are the Seviv Amiti. So that was it. That's causes Ayin for the Etzem Chibur, but that's beyond the Ayin Mipchinas is Pashtus Megillah. Okay. If he's Talkus V'chayes HaNefesh, K'moi B'Salfes, yeah, then do we see that Moyel HaReach Lahoshi Ve'anem Mimneshim Mamshichoi, it goes back to the Etzem Sheresh HaAtzmi in Elikus, which is Goyrem or that Chibur. In other words, the Mokir Sheresh HaAmiti. V'achayes U'b'chinas is Chadshes. שאין זה רק אור המשפשת, כי אם אור עצמי. So here the Rebbe said that's a new Amshocha Legamre. In other words, like in all Inyanim from Soivev, it's impossible to say that was there a moment before. And even though you had a certain Gilui, as if you now Megala a new Inyan in that, then that's a new Inyan. It's not shy to say that particular Geda was there before. Mashenkin, once you've already been poiled these chabras, and you've already been poiled the gilead, the highest clothes, and it's how they call it, it's all already become a oil which is shy to the inyanim. Kein hayim, kein tmel, shil shayim. I say this given, as it is Ayin, as it is given free. It's so the same gather. Ve'ilu, this Indian, he said, if there's a melachum to, he said, if the nefesh is mistalik legamri from the guf, then you get a new chayah. In other words, if there was a istalchus from the chayas nefesh from the guf, there's a pink to say rachmanin and tzlan, there's a pink to say with the Indian amiz. In order for that to be and since the whole thing became batel, you have to start all over again. It's muzaina new. Is chadshus legamri mimoke harishan, and therefore he said that's a inim from chayes that's a inim from oyer atzmi. Yeah, that's a nit a inim from oyer hamishpashi, and therefore you have to go into mishosha makoyer atzmi, and the chayes is also a new chayes. There's a go another inim. In other words, that's a naya mensch kipshutai. As Pasha Kipshut, Anaya mensch. It's interesting, the Inyan from Yisalfes, if it's even Amiti, Rachman and Islam, then Kuntoisatli Achri would be Mamshik, Alidei, these aces, Miyuchodis, as if he Reyach, it does, is Megala, Anaya Mehoib Dona, Kilo, he begins a whole new Seder from Leb. You know, like they talk about these people was, Miyayin and Midugma. They talk about these people was they had what they called Misa Klinias, if I don't know, not as often on it. But they killed them. They passed away, and then they made it back again by his Udarach. Min Hadrochim. If there would be a Zamininian and moving that the Sanai meant, gave him a whole new chayas. His selfless is Eichazeh.
His selfless is not siluka koiches. It's helema koiches in the rech.
No. It's histalkes. I'm sorry, you got it wrong. It's nicht hela. The Rebbe said it's even from histalkes. It's gone completely. Therefore, it doesn't help anything. You can dance off and cope. I mean, a mensch is misalev, unless you have some dovers gulati, Ayin and gulati, Ayin was a sechaf from Seder Haroga, you can't bring him back, he's gone. And the way you bring him back is through the Inyan Arayach. That's because it's a new Ishchachas, as they state. She'ein zeh rak oyer mishpashet ki im oyer atzmi. Was it a pshat? Or that is oyer atzmi. Now das ist die etzem chayes, die etzem chibur michodas. That's the etzem mafli la'aseis michodas. And everything which has been influenced from that is anaya geder. It's a new Inyan. Well, maybe it's an idea to fight and start all over again.
The Rebbe Rishab, when I went to the Rebbe Rishab said when I went to the meeting of the Rabbonim, he asked, we did everything we could to mevatel the gzeira, and he said, did you gehalisht? Did you find?
Oh yeah, and that wasn't the Rebbe Rishab. That was the Chofetz Chaim. Yeah. It's given the Chofetz Chaim. Yeah.
So
he asked him if they find it. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point what you make. Very good point. He said that when the Shah answered you the way he did, he said, did any of you faint? He said, if you would have fainted, then it would have been different. In other words, he meant in that two inyanim. First of all, he meant that it has to be nogea ad kedekach, that it's going on. It's interesting, I heard from somebody and he showed me in our sefer, which state this? I forget. Somebody showed me another thing. That it was written about the Chofetz Chaim. He was a man to hear the Chofetz Chaim. That he kept a notebook of everything he'd done during the day. Anything he did, he just sort of wrote down briefly. And they said of this man, Ptirose, he said that according to his notebook, he's only wasted mamish 8 minutes. And he's like, mamish wasted has only been 8 minutes. Listen to the place. So bad. So what about the time that he was asleep? We have to say that was all part of the deal. It was a chiddush of the koiches, so that's not called wasted. I said, man, I give him in a super in the Chofetz Chaim, but musmach, not stamazay. Yeah. So he was, how did I say? He was going to give all the dogma the Chofetz Chaim. Upon him, you're right. That's what he meant. But what he meant over there was it has to be nogea ad kedikach to cause these talchas hachayis. But ein nachanami gam. The fize, the achli which you would already come back, then you would have had new kochas. Yeah, legamri, and it would have been a different story. Yeah, ein nachanami. Well, you're right. The Rebbe Rashab also said something about. There's also something in the Rebbe Rashab about chalish. Something about chalish. You're right. Anyway, we'll get an ayagila, but not. I hope we won't chalish, but we'll try to get an ayagila. Oh, funny.
Pouring cotton, the Friedrich Rebbe was chalish in the Fabringen. Pouring cotton, tak for Beis. So in the middle of Fabringen,
he fainted. Yeah. Well, that was project to Tovish Beis.
Before that, he was,
Tovish Beis was when he said the Maimah in the shul.
Kibbutz.
That's when he fainted? I don't think so. That was another Fabring. Beis.
16 hours Fabring.
Huh?
Went for 16 hours.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was then, because that was when he went to the shul. Beis. That's when he said that long Maimah in the shul. I mean, maybe there was a Fabringen. I remember the thing you're talking about. But dort state that he hadn't had anything to eat for a whole day or something. He fainted even before the Fabring. And then Coach gave a couple after the Fabring, or messed the Fabring, he fainted. But I don't know if that was Mamish Pesach. I'm not, I don't want to say categorically, but I have a feeling it was around about that time, but not Mamish Pesach. Pesach and Purim Cotton was a famous Maimah. Kibbutz Yehudim, that the Atu Titzav was built around that. After Rebbe said in shul in Moscow, it was a tremendous sakonis nefashis for him to walk into the shul and do a thing like that. upon him, and there was an informer. There was one of the informers was in the crowd. There was a whole story about it. There was one of the Eden. He knew what was going on. He wrote a description of the whole thing, and he writes that there was he knew that there was one of the informers, and he said the Rebbe probably also knew. And after it became, he didn't hesitate. You know the famous Maimon, the Kibbutz Yehudi from Beis. It's one of the most famous Maimonim. One can say that. Anyway, so the Rebbe said, Ki'im Atzmi. So we need to understand what the Pshat Atzmi. That means it's a new Gilui of the Yetzim Mishchabres. Everything which is Nimshach is Bo'ifun Chodar. והדוגמה מזה למעלה הוא שממשיך מבחינת עצמוס האינסוף של המעלה מבחינת שייכוס אל העולמות. Not from a infant Atzmus, how nonetheless it can go from him a ha'ora to be shaykh to the infant Elamas, no, from a zamin madrege in Ayin Tzeif that has b'chlau no shaykhs, not even that it can be nimshik mishom ha'ora. Who shenimshik gilui Atzmus ein sof mamish where b'chinas ha'ora shebo b'chinas tzimtzum de kemare odom. כי אם לי יש גילוי אין סוף ממש בבחינת אדם העליין, לי יש בבחינת אדם, בבחינת אדם לעליין, בבחינת כי לא אדם. פרק דגזק. אבל מילא, יש למה, what the Rebbe means by what he said earlier, this mishpash, the nimshach oil atzmi, and that oil atzmi is nimshach through the Indian arayach or through the Indian aktoidas. He said lamaila, or that's atzma saying safe, which is beyond even the shurish of a ha'ora, which could be vader tzimtzum in mara odam. It's even lamaila than the Indian from Adam el elyain. No, it's a Ine van loy Adam hu mamish. Islema, he doesn't mean dafki in Ine van Isalfes. Isalfes is only a dogma. I mean, Lamal is not shaykh anyway, Isalfes. He means go another sug gilui, another sort of gilui altogether. And that's what we have to say that. Maybe we'll just finish the chapter, but for example, it's put down the great Rishonim in order to sort of get the Geder that we're talking about. What's for a Geder does he mean here? It's put down in Pasha Tetzaveh, the Mizbeach HaKetoros are brought at the end of the whole, say, after all the Kelim and all the Big Day Kahuna and all of a sudden brings the Mizbeach HaKetoros at the end of Pasha Tetzaveh. And it's a famous shaila. Why do you mention after everything, after the whole Big Day Kahuna, all of a sudden you mention the Mizbeach HaKetoros? That should be mentioned back with in Pasha Truma when we're talking about the Aron and the Menorah and the Shulchan. Why it's mamish together with them in the sanctuary? Why do we mention the Inyan HaKetoros for so? Ish b'zeh kama biurim or tirutzim, gam in the Sichos of the Rebbe, there's kama biurim, and gam b'derech Chassidus. But it's written dort in the Ramban, and also the Sapona says Ayin in Doimel is there. And the Ramban says that the Inyan HaKetoros was not like the Shara Kalim in the oil moyed in the sanctuary. That the Inyan HaKetoros in Yoneh was who Yafis, in Yofi and beauty in the sanctuary purely Likvoid is Barak, Lekhovid Hashem is Barak. In other words, the Inyan, the Menorah was to be Meir the Nishometz. The Shulchan was to be Mamshich Ayin from Panosa or Ayin from Birurei Achila, all sorts of Nesinas Koyches that the Inyan Shulchan, mit Mani von Ashiras, aber als in an even moet zich to the Makablim. En Achila, de ene na Oren, met Sokosov, de ene van Torah was given Ela Adam. Lilmoid is the Adam is a Makabel Gavidin in a Torah. But he says that the ene na, as I state in the Ramban, the ene from the Keteris is more not like 4 days, but it's got nothing to do with the. That's why it's mentioned at the end of everything, because Ainless a Ko Shaichasim Sharia, you know. And the Sipona says a similar Indian. He says that the whole Indian of the Reich of the Keter was Indian Liyafe is Pilvad as Beis Elokeinu. It was Indian of special beauty, as you might call it in English, what kind of catching it with the whole Ibrik Inyanim. Amamik, if he said, come to he said, the Keter says, which is Lamaila Mikola. Ayinyonim von Islapjes Ela Adam, Beteicha Adam, Bishvila Adam, Lataki Neizemashu, Bedek Tikkun Harogil. Now, and that's what we're going to say, even though this Poil Sokos of a Tikkun, of his Poil Tikkun go by even Acher, Begolui, the Indian of the Keteris Menit, Bishvila is Barach, and even Kway Day, Lagamri Lamaila Misharia, Apuulis Vatikunim Shahoyu Baiza. Mokim the Indian Pnimis Adio Moya. And if we could suggest that that's what the Rebbe means to say that the Gili Alidea Ketoides is not from a Zal level and then a course which got shaykhs to Oilam. It's purely to him. It's a Gilu Mimeno, not a Gilu Ela Makabli. And therefore it doesn't come but there are symptoms in Mare Odom. Because Mare, as we said before, is only Ayin from Ha'oras of Kosovo. Ki im Lia is Gili Eirein Seif Mamish Beprinas Odom or Elyain. Lia is Beprinas Odom, Beprinas Adamele Elyain, Beprinas Ki Loya Odomu. So maybe the Kavanah is, he said, what do you want to do with the Odom or Elyain? But that's the spirit. You want to make a Mois Odom. You want to make a Damele Elyain. You want to show not that they are Inin from Odom, that their whole Inin is a Damele Elyain. Their whole Inin is how they're really just a Dugma of Elakus Mamish. And that means because they're Mekabel from a Zamadrega from Loy Odom. And what we're doing is we're altering the whole Seder. Instead of a Seder from Gilui Lamata or Tzedach Ezi Inen in Mara Odom, it's a man as if the Ramban that this man at least 2 days for. Das ist allein steht Begolo. He himself. Begolo. And you might say, Ochem Waver, and he remains of the clippers that they might be happen to hang around. It's once it's that you look man at Vier, that's what we're going to see later. They all just fall away. And that's what we see that when it's given us our mass, as if the plague, the Magafa, Aaron came running out with the all sounds loving. And said the Rebbe, als Kiim, hoe de beginnen zo, de zo, de ene van Zaire aanpin. Small faces, literally. Hier, kemoy arig aanpin mamish. That, in other words, it's zo, should be oi zo, menet mi dois, ja, en had ik gehoord, Tzimtzumim, kedei, lashpir, lamate, wuchule. Pinkte ze weer, arig aanpin, kesse, erle. Del Pisay die Stauscheles nimmt sich mit Prinas Arichampin so, Haria de so, Prinas Zimtzum, Prinas Miut, Harbele, Gabi Prinas Arichampin, and therefore it's called Zaire Ampin. That's the Ine van Zo. That's the Ine van Katnis, with Zimtzum, Ha'ora Bovad. Aber the Ine van Arich itself should be Misgala into Zo. Ja, dat is gewoon een ander ding. En dat is purely 2 days, but that's we're being megalahim, nicht mekabel. In een reach, hoe am shochen de beginnen zo hier, kemoy arichan pimani. Niet staan, niet met elkaar, hör ich ook metaphors, no money. Dat is gewoon een periodieke zaak. Zo, als je mamschichen al idee, weet dat ik toeire. That you megala azamin inyan, that it becomes gila elakuz, bishvil gila elakuz. Tatlis hakovi fun etzem elakuz, and it becomes bottled the pu'ula at the makabel. He's no longer a makabel. No, he becomes adamele elyon. He's all inyan. He becomes mamish a sevi. The mishaleh halein, as you might say. He becomes a sevi. The leibish the kaviyochel. That's the inyan of Rusa de Liba. That's the inyan of Aveda Lamaila Mi Medidava Agbola. But the inyan from Rusa de Liba does the Rotzen Pnimi of the Leiv Davke. She said, Beginners Ki Loy Adam Hu Sheba Adam. Or that's the beauty Agbola in the Mensch, which is not really him. It's no longer him. His whole inyan is what you might call a Tzedek Gavoya, like the Alter Rebbe brings in Perek Yud, but I get to the Tzaddik, as Kol Inyon is L'Tzedek Gavoya. His whole in is Menit, Kan Delay, Amish Chased, Im Koinoi. Al Yidei Zeh, Mamshichim L'Mayla Gam Ken Gilu B'chinas Kiloi Adam Hu B'chinas Adam Hu Hediyim. Through that Avodah Lamata, where Poel, it becomes like that, L'Mayla, Amamila, it becomes like that b'chol ha'olam as Giloi Kveida Yisbara. All my Kenya Right? But enough of this messing around with Kveida B'nai Adam. The Alamasses. Mit der Folge soll sein Giloi Kveida Yisbara. Kipshuta. And Adam Matachtin soll sein Mamish Sevi Adam Ha'elie. So stehen in him der Kilo. Aber der Klal, who shall he there wieder der Korbona is mamshichen beginnen so pnimi. Weil der wieder der Teires mamshichen Kilo beginnen so makiv. Aber makiv, das ist Kilo mimeno is bar. Pnimi is Kilo meno bishvilcha. Wie es kommt von dir. Ja, as they say. Aber die von makiv, das ist Kilo Ayin say bilvad bishvil Kilo Ayin say. Lo bishvil Ayin. Maar dat is gewoon een andere ding. Dat is alleen dat het de ene van de misbach acteert. En daarvoor is de ene van Reach Jofe. De ene van Lejafe is alidee Reach. Wel, Reach is de ene van Mochje Veshorsh Atzmi. En now je gaat het altogether. Now we understand why it is that there was a Bren about, who was going to take in the Keteras and to be zecher to take the Keteras into the Heichal, I said the Ganze. That only one Kohen could do it, he wasn't allowed to do it again, because whoever was Machtir the Keteras became, what happened to him?
Get rich.
Huh?
Got rich.
Oh, now you're talking, he got rich. Misashia. Yeah. Computer. Who steht another in? Who steht? Another thing that. Sunday quiz. And if you're a Sunday, then you become you get a shiras. Das interessant. The Schwarzebes and the Polish Gedolim were breakers. They really are breakers that stood in front of Agro. And the Ramah brings it as Gula Lashira. The Ramah state. Schreibt the Gro that Lo Mazzino, Jesus was so said, Mazzino, Leroino. Ele Santa Cruz, Misashi. They go and they kilo. So the Hasidim with their breakers after all, the Polishes. Breakers. And more they didn't give in Kanoim, Today they become, I don't know, it's not that. But more than they give in Kanoim. I mean, Siddish Kanoim. Yeah. Anyway, don't mean anything by way of criticism. As we doing as our matter, we've been told to criticize. Don't know then good.
Chavzayin Adar.
Huh?
Chavzayin Adar. Tonight, Chavzayin Adar.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah. I don't know. Ramirez. Tov. who knows, it was our Mesilas Nefesh, what's the inyonim, leading in Kos Ayin Adar. But one thing is clear, that Genuk Elam V'Esther, that's for sure. Genuk Elam V'Esther. I suppose if we were really, the way it should be, we wouldn't call it Elam V'Esther, but that's not Elam V'Esther.
The Rebbe says in the Hara, of Zayin Adar is a Giloy of a Helam Atzmi.
Whereabouts is this? In Nun Beis.
Hara, yeah.
Yeah, I remember to put him cotton. Somebody said, you spoke about putting cotton. It's in one of those, there's also a order from the Rebbe dog, like put him cotton. So cotton godel year, I said, Davke from the Dina from putting out is in a knife from cotton, Davke, that'll be Mamshik Dina from Itis Agadlas. And he writes over there, what's the Indian from Lo Yoda, Beinora Hom, and Loborok Mordchai. In Kedusha, you're never allowed to lose your senses, no matter how you go, you have to know what you're doing. It was Lo Yoda, Ben, so there was a Shaykh Azamin in Lo Yoda Ben. Yes. So it was said the union from Ora begins with the Aleph, but that's, Borok Mordechai is the union from Beis, that's all he got a certain Teva, the Kedusha, the Torah begins with a Beis, that's all he Shaykh, to a certain Gilui HaRogel from Kedusha. Aleph, we said the Torah couldn't begin with the Aleph because it was too heavy. It was too heavy game with the Aleph. So the Rebbe said that the Piro von Haman was Azamin, that he became Nichla and Bottle. Even he became Nichla, and when he became Bottle and Nichla, he was Moisef Azamin in Shayin, let's say, called Hevdil. Therefore, he become, as a way you might say, confused. The Rebbe said that really B'Pnimis does, it's even higher. But Chapanim is what you might call a Beetle Kala Hagdoras in the minimum HaKiddush. That's a Pshat. Ora Homen and Borok Mordechai. It's all in the Zelba Teik of HaKiddush, and Adar there's even a mile in Ora Homen. I just tried to repeat it in this. Yeah. And as we said, therefore it's written Tesvav is Shushan Purim. So why isn't it called Purim Shel, how do you call it, Ayin Mukafes or something, why do you call it Shushan? So he said Shushan, the name of a Goyish place, and a Goyish name. Yeah, Shushan Purim. Purim is also a Lashon Parsi. They become Nefach, Mamish, Zamininim, with the both of them together is a Gora tremendous. Shushan and Purim. Philip Place. Good, right, yes. One way or another.
Mashiach now.
We want Mashiach now. Pashtus, I keep shooting.
No, yesterday.
Good.
Yesterday.
Good. All right, guys.
Yeah.
So, you already gave me a couple of weeks ahead. I got one for you. Yeah. Well, we should realize that they're very geschmack.
So you had a rest a bit?
Mm-hmm. Baruch Hashem, I had a few days of very good rest. I like to see. It fell off, so I got one of our own and put it right on the wall. That's like, that's a big mountain, it's up in there now. It's not the way around. So, that's everything has to be well.